Dear friends, very good afternoon to all of you. Good morning to the friends from the western side of India, from the western countries. And good evening to the friends from the eastern side of India, the eastern countries. You know, as we all know, COVID-19, coronavirus disease, a huge pandemic has impacted the mankind and is one of the biggest pandemics which we are facing in last more than 100 years. COVID-19 is caused by coronavirus, and the name of this virus, as per the International Committee on Taxonomy of Virus, is assigned as Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus 2, SARS-CoV-2. Friends, this is not the first epidemic or pandemic of coronavirus which has struck the mankind. There have been endemics, epidemics, and pandemics of coronavirus in the past as well. As I told you, this has been the name of this virus is SARS-CoV-2. But before this, there was a epidemic which started from China only, Guangdong province of China, and in 2003. And it is known as SARS-CoV, Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus. It started from China in the year 2003, but it was not such a huge pandemic. Then in the year 2012-13, another epidemic of coronavirus known as MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. This is also this epidemic was also caused by coronavirus, emerged from Saudi Arabia. Now, one thing, these are the three examples of coronavirus epidemics or pandemics which have struck globally or are epidemics restricted to some countries. All these come from animal sources. Coronaviruses, the reservoirs are some animals. For the first coronavirus, SARS-CoV, civets were considered as the reservoir. So from civets, the virus was transmitted to humans, and then from humans to humans, it is like a chain reaction. In the second case, MERS, in 2012 and 13, it was through camel. And this one, as we know, although exact source, it is difficult to determine as yet, but considered as bats. Now, this virus emerged, as per the reports, this virus emerged from Wuhan province in China. This pandemic emerged from the Wuhan province in China, again from a wet market. A wet market means, you know, what is a wet market? Where live animals, including this Wuhan wet market I will tell you about, where live animals are sold or even cut down in that market. So these markets, the body fluids of animals are always there running in the market, means they are flowing body fluids, come in contact with humans. Apart from this, they always the sellers in this market who butcher these animals, they always put water to clean the market, so it is always wet. Therefore, these markets are known as wet markets. Now, these wet markets, where these animals in China, like countries where this Wuhan, it was initially known as Wuhan virus. So, in these wet markets, apart from the normal animals like which we livestock, we call them as like cattle or birds or some other animals, apart from these, there are several other wild animals being hunted and sold, and even now they are cultured. Now these wet markets, animals like frogs, amphibians, other amphibians, snakes, reptiles, I mean to say, mammals like pangolins, civets, exotic animals. Now these are also sold in these wet markets in some countries. The chances of their body fluids coming in contact, or the animals coming in contact with the humans or human population, are very high, and this may result in the transmission of such viruses or some other pathogens like bacteria. Now these viruses can be, or other pathogens can be novel, like this coronavirus is. Now this coronavirus, why we call it a coronavirus? Because it has a crown-like surface. Spike proteins are present on the outer surface which make it like a crown. This coronavirus is a very small virus, around 65 to 100 nanometer in size. You know, 1 nanometer is equal to 10 to the power minus 9 meter, or otherwise we can say like 1 meter contains 10 to the power 9 nanometers. So very small virus which cannot be even visible by normal compound microscope, let alone our eyes. So a very small entity, virus particle, which is not visible easily. Now this is a single-stranded RNA virus. That means its genome is a single-stranded RNA, highly mutable. Now, I was telling you about the history of this virus. The first SARS-CoV struck mankind in 2003. That is as per the reports. Maybe it was present even before that in our human population. Definitely it was present in several other reservoirs, animals. As we know, we already know about bats, civets, pangolins as the reservoirs of this animal, of this virus. So from there it can get transmitted to humans. In the past also it has happened, and now it is also this one is another example of where it has transmitted from animals to humans. Now, as per World Health Organization, 70% of the human pathogens, whether they are viral, bacterial, 70% of non-human pathogens are zoonoses. They come from animals. And this coronavirus is also a zoonotic virus. So it is right from animals, and you see chances of transmission of viruses from animals are very high. We share some, particularly from other mammals. So this is also a zoonotic virus which has come into the humans and caused havoc. Now this coronavirus, if I again come back to the history, this coronavirus is only about 80, as per the research, only 80% similar to the original coronavirus, the original SARS virus. Original, I mean to say, the first SARS epidemic which occurred in 2003. This is only 80% similar to that virus. That means it is very different from the earlier strains. This is a novel coronavirus. So we are not prepared for such viruses. There are no vaccines available. There are no treatments available. And only solutions are like lockdown, social distancing. And already we know, still after this lockdown, social distancing and all, what havoc it is this virus is playing, this pandemic is playing on mankind, in terms of life loss, in terms of economic loss, in terms of social issues and problems, and in terms of many other problems which will creep in the future, we will see in near future. So this is a huge, not only a disease, as a disease it is a pandemic, but it is also causing several other issues in the human population, which some of them are already visible and some will be visible in the future. So what are the reasons like such pandemics are striking again and again? I can give you more examples of such pandemics, viral and bacterial pandemics or epidemics, at least, which have struck mankind in past few years, or past 50 or so, some decades. So the pace this is not going to be the first pandemic, and if we do not mend our ways, this is also not going to be the last pandemic also. Now, what are the reasons which are causing such pandemics at a fast pace, and what are the reasons which are resulting in spread of such pandemics at a very fast pace throughout the globe? How these pandemics are causing such a huge damage throughout the globe in a very short period of time? There are so many reasons. There are so many direct reasons. Direct reasons, I have told you that we have gone for all sources of meat, like wild animals in some countries. Wild animals are reservoirs of such pathogens, and we don't know how many different types of viruses or bacteria are present. What is their microbiome of these wild animals? We don't know exactly. So when we come in contact with these wild animals, I told you that meat of exotic wild animals is available in certain markets around the globe. So chances of transmission of these pathogens, including viruses and even bacteria, becomes very high. Novel organisms, novel microorganisms, transmission chances become very high, because we don't know how many microbes or even unknown microbes which we do not have the capability to culture or grow in the laboratory, and we even don't have checked the microbiome of these wild animals. Even we don't know about them. Even we don't know about this coronavirus, although I have given you example that this is the third time this coronavirus has struck mankind in last 2 decades or so. But so we don't know exactly about coronavirus also, which has caused this is the third outbreak of coronavirus. But still we don't know much about it. We don't know that it's a complete reservoirs. Means we don't know exactly what animals are the reservoirs of this, exactly what wild animals, exactly how it gets transmitted from animals. Are the domestic animals also part of this, the reservoirs of this virus? So we don't know about coronavirus, and there may be several other such viruses or bacteria in the wilds. So if you see, there is a direct connection, that is increasing contact with the wildlife. Maybe why we are hunting them and using them as meat, eating them, like in some countries, and even in wildlife trade. Another direct consequence, another direct reason, trade of wildlife meat, trade of wildlife parts is also going on in the world among several countries. Maybe it is illegal in some countries, but it is going on. So trade in wildlife parts, trade in wildlife meat is also a very direct reason of transmission of such microorganisms, such dangerous pathogenic organisms into the humans. But these are the direct reasons. What are the other reasons which are the root cause of such pandemics? What are the other reasons which should be tackled to control such pandemics in the future? And what are the learnings from this COVID-19 which we should follow, which we should implement, which we should try to make policy out of it? What are those learnings? The first point is the population growth. Human population is increasing at an exponential rate. So with increasing human population, problems are increasing. These include these are resulting in anthropogenic activities, human related activities, harming the environment, harming our surroundings. Huge human population requires huge pressure on natural resources. Apart from that, there are several other points which I will take one by one, which are mostly related to human population, increase in human population, such as more food demand, more like climate change, greenhouse gas emissions and all. I will take them one by one. So human population, increase in human population is somewhat directly also related to spread of such pandemics. Second, now under the umbrella of human population, there are several points. I will take them one by one. The first one is urbanization. You see, unplanned urbanization is going on around the globe. Unplanned urbanization, big cities, we are developing big cities. I should say this is unplanned urbanization, and apart from unplanned, there are several other issues. Means we cannot provide the population with the facilities in these cities. People are moving from villages, from small towns towards big cities. Now this is resulting in huge problems. The population of these cities is increasing, big cities, at a very alarming rate, and there is no control over that. All these people who migrate from villages or small towns towards big cities with a dream to have a very good life, but it is not like that. It is not always like that. And there is a huge congregation of population in the big cities, much more than what it can hold, much more than what it can support the population. So you see, the coronavirus pandemic, this COVID-19, if you observe, it has caused more havoc in big cities. Like in India, if we say Delhi and Mumbai, if we see outside India, then New York, cities in Italy, Spain, all thickly populated. And even the origin of the virus, Wuhan, it is also very thickly populated. China is overall very thickly populated country, and Wuhan is also very thickly populated. So it was very easy for the virus to spread. Now these big cities result in so many issues. This urbanization is occurring in so many issues, like unhygienic conditions, pilation of garbage. There are huge piles of garbage around these big cities. Conditions are unhygienic. Even potable water is not available. Huge populations resulting in formation of slums. Now these all factors in these big cities make it very easy for the pathogen to transmit itself amongst the population. The unhygienic conditions, unavailability of proper drinking water supply, mixing of sewage with the potable water and other contamination. And I told you the big garbage piles are home to such microorganisms. They can be even producing novel type of microorganisms by mutation, the type of pollution which is present in these garbage piles and this sewage and all. So these all are causing a huge problem, the unplanned urbanization, and causing easy spread of the viruses in big cities, viruses and bacteria also, the human pathogens. So it is very easy in urban centers to transfer such viruses, and so we have to look after this unplanned urbanization as a cause, as a big cause of pandemic, how we can tackle it in the future. Next issue is, I will take on issues one by one. So after urbanization, next issue is deforestation. Deforestation, humans have resulted in 60% loss of forest. Only one species on earth, Homo sapiens, have resulted in 60% loss of forests in the last 100 or 200 years. Huge biodiversity loss. In fact, we are going through 6th mass extinction at present. Huge biodiversity loss, mass extinctions, loss of forest cover. Now this is increasing human-animal conflicts. We are cutting down the forest. Why we are cutting down the forest? Again, the factor is to use that land for agriculture, to make towns and cities and get industries there. All these factors again related to human population. We are cutting down the forest, but this is also resulting in huge increase in number of human-animal conflicts, which is making it easy means for these viruses which are zoonotic in nature, or bacteria which are zoonotic in nature, to get transmitted from animals to the humans. You see, if you read the newspapers and you see the news these days, leopard attack, tiger attack in the village or a nearby town, or even into the cities. Sometimes there are pictures where leopards have entered the cities. Even in Bombay, if you see, there is a Borivali National Park in Bombay, where leopards are frequently coming into the city. There are examples in Uttar Pradesh, there are examples in Uttarakhand also. There are several examples around these forests. These are being cut down, and there are huge increase in human-animal conflicts. Now we report about the big animals like leopards and tiger attacks, like elephants. But do we report about the smaller animals? Do we report about the bats? Do we report about the rodents? Do we report about the rabbits? Do we report about the very other small animals and birds? No, there are no reports. But that interaction is increasing. With decreasing forest cover, the interaction is increasing. I can give you one example. Ebola virus. Ebola virus outbreak in Central Africa. It is a very good example of how forest cover depletion resulted in an epidemic in Central Africa. You know, Ebola virus was transmitted through bats into the humans. Now, why this occurred? There was depletion in forest cover, forests were cut down, and towns were set up in a Central African country. So what happened? The bat colonies moved from forest towards the human dwellings, towards the villages, towards these small towns which were at the border of the forest. So they moved from forest because of lack of habitat. They moved from forest towards the these human dwellings, and resulted in transmission of Ebola virus, which was also an epidemic in Central Africa, very big epidemic, resulted in many huge loss of human life in that region. Fortunately, it was not transmitted as an epidemic like COVID-19, but that was due to a very direct example of forest deforestation. Now, another example of deforestation, another reason coming out of deforestation is that biodiversity loss. We are losing animals species at a very fast rate, and in some countries people are consuming wildlife meat, even meat of bear, tigers, wild dogs, rabbits, such animals, pangolins, civets, I gave you example. So people are consuming meat of such animals, and they are highly endangered animals. They are on the verge of extinction. So biodiversity loss, wildlife loss, and now what these are doing? Still consuming meat of these animals, or even culturing them. I will come to that point later on. Even culturing, growing such wild animals in their farmyard. So that means we are inviting such pathogens right to means in our contact. So chances, we are ourselves increasing chances of contact with these wild animals, which may be reservoir of so many other pathogens. So deforestation is a big issue. Now, related to deforestation is another issue known as fragmentation. Fragmentation of habitats. You see, apart from deforestation, what humans are causing is fragmentation of wild habitats. Fragmentation means we are building roads through the national parks or wildlife reserves. We are building dams, we are building railway lines, even industries are being put inside the forest, or even tourist centers are coming up inside the wildlife habitats like forests, etc. So what is happening? This is resulting in fragmentation of habitat. Fragmentation means a whole forest, which was a one unit, gets fragmented into small pieces. Now this causes a huge problem for the wildlife. Their movement, now they will move through these roads, through these railway lines, through these societies or buildings which have come up inside the forest or tourist areas. This will again increase human animal conflict. We see a lot of accidents on the roads in several national parks in India. I have myself observed heightened number of highway projects, railway lines being built inside the national parks. I can give you example of Dudhwa National Park. I can give you example of Rajaji National Park. I can give you example of Corbett National Park. All these are present in northern India and they are getting fragmented. Now, due to this fragmented, chances of human-animal conflict are increasing many a times, resulting in which can result in transmission of such diseases in the future also. Next point is, this was about deforestation and fragmentation of wildlife, where we are increasing. These may seem very simple and very, you can say that these are very limited things. It is not necessary that virus will get transmitted or bacterial pathogens can get transmitted so easily. But this COVID-19 must have started from a single person, maybe in Wuhan or somewhere, but by a single person, this pandemic must have started. So a single transmission is enough which can result in an endemic, epidemic, or a pandemic. Unfortunately, this has resulted in a pandemic. The past ones were not so severe, and after Spanish flu more than 100 years back, this is a huge pandemic. But we had indications in last couple of decades. So a single transmission can result in a transmission of a novel strain, which can be very dangerous. Now, next point is intensive farming. We are going for intensive farming to feed the ever-increasing human population. I told you that for intensive farming, we have cut down the forests. There is one thing, deforestation is going on due to intensive farming. Another point is we are using huge amount of pesticides and fertilizers in the farm, in the agriculture, to grow the crops, to increase the productivity. Yes, it resulted in green revolution a few years back. Not only in India, in whole, green revolution was a global phenomenon. But intensive use of pesticides and fertilizers resulted in several other issues: degradation of land, desertification of land, salinization of land. And these pesticides are recalcitrant compounds. They are not easily degradable. They are accumulating in the food chain. They are causing biomagnification in the food chain, in the food web. Now, this has resulted in formation of mutants, dangerous soil microorganisms. Pesticides being, these microbes have the capacity, they are very smart organisms. They can divide very quickly, they can multiply very quickly, and they can also change very quickly, mutate very quickly. They can adapt very quickly, they can evolve very quickly. As I told you, this COVID-19 is 20% different from the last coronavirus epidemic which occurred from China also, SARS-1. So these can evolve very quickly. So when we are dumping a huge amount of pesticides in the soil, there are many chances that we will have a novel microbes coming out of this soil, this polluted soil. And these pesticides are not restricted. These pesticides are not restricted to soil only. They move through water, they move to rivers, lakes, oceans, sea. They move everywhere. There are traces of pesticides found in the North Pole as well as South Pole, means Antarctica, Arctic Circle and Antarctica. Traces of pesticides are present there. So these are non-degradable. That's why traces have reached up to, from mainland, they have reached up to North Pole and South Pole, because they are non-degradable, not easily degradable. Now these are resulting in formation, these can result in formation of novel microbes. These can be very dangerous. We have to find alternative ways. We have to go for organic farming. Our government is also trying hard to go for organic farming. Organic mission is one of the missions, and one of our states, I would like to mention here, the Sikkim has gone organic completely. So we have to follow that. Otherwise, this may result in huge problems. Already it is resulting. Desertification is a common phenomena. Desertification, another aspect of desertification is that the agriculture land is depleting. Next point is livestock production. Now this is very important. Again, livestock production of cattle, production of bird, chicken, production of goat, sheep, all these livestock production has increased a lot in last 30 years. You know, production of bird for livestock has increased 8 times in last 30 years or so. Production of cattle has increased more than 2 times. Production of pig has increased by more than 4 times. Production of cattle and goat has increased around 3 times in last 30 years. This clearly shows our over dependence on, one thing is increasing human population, so demand is more. And another point is our over indulgence and dependence on animal meat. That is also a important point to make out. Production of meat has increased many folds, which clearly shows our over dependence on this. Instead of agriculture, we are more dependent on, becoming more dependent on animal meat. This is about only livestock. I have not given example of fish. I don't know the data at present of how many times fish production has increased as well. We are exploiting a lot amount of fish from oceans as well, more than what the oceans can produce. We are depleting a lot of fish resources from oceans. Gangetic dolphins are on the verge of extinction. So all these are issues. Overproduction of livestock and more reliance may result in transmission of such viruses or such bacteria, pathogenic, because these are animals. You know, livestock production, cattle production, piggeries. Now you see, these livestock production are not very not very much like coordinated in a coordinated manner, or where it is a very unorganized sector, especially in developing countries. Production of livestock is a very unorganized sector. Most of the times it is a backyard farming. So in backyard farming, what happens? Sometimes there are villages or even towns, small towns very close to forests. If you go around in parks like Dudhwa National Park in Uttar Pradesh, or if you go in Corbett National Park or Rajaji National Park, you will see there are villages around these national parks where livestock production is done. And many a times, not many a times, it is certain that animals like cattle, goat, sheep, they go for foraging in these forests and come in contact with the wild animals. Sometimes there are examples where tigers or leopards have killed cattle, and villagers make a huge noise about that because they are very much dependent upon these cattle for food, for milk and all. So these animals are allowed to forage in the wild. They come back to their farms in the evening and can bring novel viruses in contact with these wild animals, novel pathogens, novel bacteria. This is not a very uncommon thing. This is a very common thing. Even these animals transmit viruses or bacteria to wild animals. They can transmit back to the wild animals also. From humans, there is a reverse chain also. We should not say always that humans, viruses are coming in humans. We can transmit them back to the wild animals also. And this has resulted in outbreaks in wild also. Like lions in Africa suffered an epidemic sort of thing and were killed due to a very bacillus anthrax disease few years back. So we can also transmit these pathogens back to the wildlife, and these pathogens can come from wildlife to the humans through these links. Links are these livestock cultivation. Another point is that most of these animals, which livestock, as I told you, it is unorganized. So they are butchered, they are cut down by these people in unhygienic conditions. You can see the markets around in India or in other countries, in so many countries, even China, several thickly populated countries, how this livestock meat is sold, how these animals are cut down and sold. So the conditions are not very hygienic. Transmission chances to human of coming in contact with the pathogens, with the body fluids of these livestock, these animals, is very high. So chances of transmission also get very high. Next is the trade in wildlife meat, which is, I have already discussed, is a direct matter, so I will skip this point. Trade in wildlife meat, government have to look after this. Trade in wildlife meat has not come down. Wildlife meat is, although illegal, trade is illegal in several countries, but still it is going on. It is going on. The trade of even, exotic meat like crocodiles, alligators, tigers, their body parts are sold, are illegally, they get traded between countries and continents. Very much chances, very huge chances of transmission of novel pathogens. Next is climate change or global warming. You see, it is predicted by IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature, and world and other bodies, UNO, United Nations, that by 2050 the temperature of Earth can rise by 3 degrees centigrade by 2050. 3 degrees is huge. So this temperature rise is due to greenhouse gases, emission of greenhouse gases, mainly due to anthropogenic activities, mainly due to increased industrialization, cities, big cities, vehicles, etc. So, increase in greenhouse gas level results in increase in temperature. Now, this increases temperature is causing climate change. And you know what are the consequences of climate change? Consequences of climate change include high level of droughts, increase in natural disasters like cyclones, increase in desertification, increase in floods, and all these conditions make it very conducive for a smart microbe like COVID-19 to transmit itself. These conditions make it very easy. Climate change can result in droughts. It has been resulting in droughts. There is a clear-cut data about that with United Nations, and it has resulted in desertification. You see, increased droughts. Some scientists say that increased level of droughts along with increased human population has resulted in our over dependence on animal meat. And this is the reason why transmission chances of viruses and bacteria from animals and other are increasing, because drought means the production of agriculture production will come down. Desertification, more desertification due to climate change will mean that we will be more dependent on animal meat rather than the agriculture, because the agriculture will not be able to cope up for the human population. So increased desertification and even floods make it very conducible environment for transmission of generally wherever there are floods, particularly in the poor countries and developing countries, there are very high chances of transmission of epidemics. You see, so all these factors of climate change, and the another point that is very important is rise in temperature is also resulting in transmission of the vectors. You see, vectors like mosquitoes, malarial anopheles, culex, other vectors, houseflies, all these insects, chances of their transmission are increasing due to increasing temperature. Their population is increasing in tropical regions, in warm regions, because temperature is increasing. And second point is that they are reaching those countries or those regions of the globe which are becoming warm. Earlier, they were not warm, they were cold. Like temperate regions, temperate countries. You see, Europe, Spain, Italy, they are becoming warmer also, Switzerland even. So these insects are getting transmitted to colder regions. Their habitat, their area is increasing. And I'm not talking only about animal or human pathogens. I'm talking about plant pathogens also. Even plant pathogens are getting transmitted. Human pathogens are getting transmitted to those parts of the globe which were not accessible to them in the past because of the increasing temperature. So this is another aspect of this global warming which is happening, which we need to take very seriously. Next point is the pollution which we are causing. We are dumping a lot of pollutants in the environment. A huge amount of pollutants are being dumped. We all know about plastics. I can tell you, in Pacific Ocean, there is a huge patch of plastic, bigger than France, bigger than even France. A huge patch of plastic is like an island which is floating on the Pacific Ocean. A few days ago, American president commented about that plastic island floating in the Pacific Ocean. It is bigger in size than France. Now, this plastic island does not only contain plastic, it contains several other pollutants. It contains heavy metals, it contains pesticides, it contains so many other pollutants, which we are oil, crude oil and all. And it makes very conducive for microbes to grow in these islands, in these pollutants. So it is this example I gave you of this plastic disaster, which is happening around the globe. It is an example of what microbes, a moving island of disastrous island moving across the ocean. Now, apart from this, pollutants are dumped in rivers, soil, lakes, oceans. Now, these pollutants can be, some of them are very dangerous. They are recalcitrant. Recalcitrant means non-degradable, not easily degradable. They are xenobiotic, means that they are foreign to that habitat, means they do not belong to that habitat. So most of these pollutants are xenobiotic and recalcitrant, and can result in mutation in the local microbial population. As I told you, mutation or evolution amongst microorganisms is happening at a very fast pace. This coronavirus, COVID-19, is 20% different from the last coronavirus, SARS virus. Mutation amongst virus is very fast. Mutation amongst bacteria is increasing in last few years. So this is becoming a big problem, this increase in mutation rate amongst the microbial population. We use a word, chimera. We use a word chimera for such, and means new mutants developed. Some of them are developed artificially also. Apart from pollution, some of them are developed artificially in the lab. You know about genetically engineered microbes. People are doing research on genetically engineered microbes. They are playing with fire. Although several countries have banned research on genetically engineered microbes, some scientists are involved in research on they are manipulating the microbes, their DNA, their RNA in the lab, and manufacturing new novel types of organisms, which is very difficult to handle once they are out in the nature. Once they are out, then they are not in our control. So apart from pollution, these human activities like use of genetically engineered microbes is a very dangerous thing which is happening. There can be hints. There are hints of coronavirus regarding relation to GEMS, but nothing is very certain as of now. So we can't comment on that. But yes, people are working on genetically engineered microorganisms. We are playing with them, and they can be very dangerous. They will not be in our control. So, friends, this was all about the cocktail which we have made, the things which we have created ourselves. So as per all these examples which I gave you, these environmental issues which I told you, be it global warming, be it deforestation, be it intensive agriculture, be it production of livestock, be it fragmentation of forests, all these issues make a perfect conditions for such pandemics, such viruses to spread, to come and to spread amongst the human population. This coronavirus is highly contagious. I will not go in detail of the coronavirus structure, but this is very highly contagious and has resulted in a big pandemic because of this. United Nations declared 17 Sustainable Development Goals in the year 2015. 17 Sustainable Development Goals were declared by United Nations, and these goals pertain to conservation of environment, control overuse of natural resources, control desertification, prevent biodiversity loss, prevent poverty, prevent hunger. All these are related, prevent economic issues. All these are related and boil down to the environment surrounding us, boil down to the nature surrounding us. And nature gave us indication that such pandemic can strike us. And now this is in front of us. I can tell you that by 2015, Sustainable Development Goals were announced by United Nations. Most of the countries, more than 200 countries, are signatories to that resolution of Sustainable Development Goals. But I can also tell you that we are going to fail in all the sustainable development goals. The target was to achieve the sustainable development goals in 2030, and mankind will fail in even achieving one goal out of those 17 sustainable development goals which were declared by United Nations and signed, signatured by all of the countries and nations on this globe. And now we are facing this pandemic. More than 200 countries are already facing this pandemic, and more than 200 countries were signatories to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So this clearly shows that if we do not take care of our nature, if we do not take care of our environment, this will result in such issues, such pandemics, such disasters. I call this COVID-19 a human man-made disaster rather than a natural thing which has happened to the mankind. So we have to take care. This we will win. I think there will be some solution out of this COVID-19. Human race will win against this virus, maybe by by manufacturing a vaccine, some other maybe medication or maybe through herd immunity, whatever the way, but we will win against this coronavirus disease in near future. We have to be united to win against this coronavirus disease in near future. But there is another pandemic going on since last few decades. There is another pandemic going on, and that is the environmental pandemic. Yes, COVID-19 has struck very quickly. In just a few years, in just a few months or a few days, we have lost millions of lives, and several millions of people are infected around the globe. That is why we are so much worried about this, because it is very visible. This virus, its impact on human life and economy and socially is very visible. But another pandemic which is going on since last several decades is the environmental pandemic. And although it is visible, but because it is not a acute type of disease, it is chronic in nature. The other pandemic known as the environmental pandemic. Hence, we are overlooking it again and again and resulting in such pandemics. So we have to go for the root cause of such pandemics. We have to strike at the root. If we want that such pandemics or such disasters or other disasters do not strike the mankind in future, we have to go for the root cause of this pandemic and make our environment more suitable, more green, more conducive. We should control the overuse of the natural resources, which we should make our planet a better place to live, not only for humans, but also for all the species, all the other organisms, all the plants, all the animals, all the birds, all the sea life, all the biodiversity. We have to make it useful. We have to make it conducive for all. Then only the ecological balance will be maintained, and we will be safe from such pandemics. Nature will save us from such pandemics in future if we are able to achieve the targets, and even if we can achieve the targets of sustainable development goals which were declared by UN and signed by all the countries. We have to fight this virus in unison. We have to fight the environmental pandemic in unison to win over this. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thank you very much for joining me on this lecture, and I wish you all a very safe, healthy, and happy future. Thank you. Goodbye.